this will hopefully be the end of this ordeal with me keeping you updated on what's been going on with the race realists and the video that they flagged. I'm kind of over it now, but wanted to let you know where the debate went and how I got into the debate in the first place. So the website that I'm about to show you is from a guy named Bob Whitaker, who apparently is like a guru to these so-called race realists, and they repeat his mantra on websites all over the place. I think that's some kind of a that's our objective. That's what they do, is to repeat their mantras. If you ever hear Nazi who wants to kill 6 million Jews as one word, if you ever see that somewhere posted as one word, that's one of their mantras. Anti-racist is code for anti-white, is one of their mantras. White nations for whites only and stuff like that. That's them. So I went in there, and because they send people to other people's videos or forums or what have you to get into the comments and post this stupid mantra and start and sometimes they hang around and argue with them, which is what they did to me. Because they do that, they're spamming, and because they're spamming, I had no problems going in and spamming them. So the irony of it is that when I got tired of their spamming and told them, look, if you spam me anymore, I'm going to block you, gave them warning, and then I followed through with it, they said I was censoring them. They argued that I was censoring them, and ironically, I've been blocked from Whitaker, and they were complaining the whole time that I was there that I was spamming them. So that's their mindset. That's who we're dealing with. That's the kind of idiot that we're talking about here. Was that hate speech? Oh, I'm sorry. Was that hate speech? Anyway, so this is how this all came about.
Okay, so as you can see, the video has been removed. This placeholder for it is still here, but these links no longer go anywhere. You can't go to the comments page, you can't go to the analytics the way you used to be able to, but you could for a while after the video was removed. When the video first came down, the picture was still here, the little thumbnail. The analytics were still up, the comments page was still up, but they're all gone now. But when the analytics was still up, I went to it and went to discovery. Like for example, I'll show you with this video what I'm talking about. This is a different video, but it will show you the same kind of thing. So if you go to discovery, it shows you where your video was being viewed. It just says YouTube other pages, but if it's from a link from another website, it'll tell you the name of the website, and that's what I did, and that's how I was able to find Whitaker online, because that was one of the websites that was posting to my site. And there was a link on there on this site to the blog, and I was able to get into that and see who had been posting to recent topics, and one of the names was a guy named Wolfram, who, let's see, over here it shows you who's been posting on the pages and which threads they've been posting on, and the name Wolfram kept showing up, and that was one of the names that kept showing up in the comment sections on my videos, and he had actually been following me to other videos. He would comment on other people's videos behind me, so I knew that he was the obsessive asshole that had probably sent everybody to my page. And I noticed this title, "Where did you post the mantra today?" And so that's what I clicked on, that, and got into this thread. And so I started my own identity. I logged in, which of course I couldn't do at the time because I didn't have a username, but I got a username which was Gamut Man, so that Wolfram would know who it was. And it's very easy to do. It's a WordPress site, so anybody can get logged into it, except that now I can't because my ISP's been blocked. But at the time, I was in there posting, and I posted for a couple of days harassing them. And so what I want to do now is read some of the best of my comments to you, some of the things that I thought were really funny that I said to them. So here we go.
Okay, so when the debate was going on, one of my earliest posts in it that I thought was really funny got was a response to this comment. Somebody said, "It's genocide, damn it, man." I'm sorry, they didn't punctuate it right, so I read it wrong. "It's genocide. Gamut Man is a geological freak who never had an original thought in his life." Okay, that's what they said to me. And here's my response. "I don't care who you are, that's just funny coming from a guy posting on a thread dedicated to spamming boards with another man's ideas." And then a guy told me I was in favor of gradual assimilation. So I said to him, Adelheim, I'm not in favor of gradual assimilation. I'm also not opposed to it. It just simply is, and I don't give a fuck. Genes get passed on either way. That's all that matters from a human perspective. Remember back in the 50s when people feared rock and roll because it would destroy the culture of Lawrence Welk and skirts below the knee? That's what this is, worrying about the death of something that was never worth preserving in the first place. Try to save the panda all day long, I don't care, but it's eventually going to go extinct, and the world will actually be no worse off for its absence. Then I posted this fake conversation. It's called Conversation 3011. Girl, hey, the History Pod says some of our ancestors used to have pink skin, called themselves white, and some of them were so worried that the race, I think they called it, was going to die off that they actually fought against it. I wonder how much of my genetic pool is made up of their bloodline. Boy, who cares? I've got some, you've got some, our kids will have some. They've been dead for 1,000 years. Girl, good point. I love the way your kinky orange hair brings out the brown in your eyes. Boy, thanks. Want to go have sex in the abandoned tanning salon? Girl, sure. What the heck was a tanning salon anyway? Boy, beats me. I thought that was very fun. Okay, anyway, then I said this to somebody. Whites are eventually going to be extinct as a race, which is nothing more than a socio-political construct. The isolationism that caused the phylogenetic particularities we know as race is a thing of the past, and that's a good thing. Whom individuals decide to mix their genetic pool with is none of my concern. So if what we call white eventually blurs into a blended amalgam of humanity, that's fine with me. What I can't understand is why you care. I mean, it's not as if your genes contribute anything especially significant to the mix. What difference does it make if your great-great-great-grandson has some black or Hispanic or Jewish genes tossed in? What would make his having only white genes in any way preferable? The planet won't care, and neither should you. And then I also, another post. Science has proven that we all came from a small population of Homo sapiens out of Africa around 175,000 years ago. As our ancestors migrated, they settled in different parts of the planet, and over time, the small clutches of genetic variation drifted, and eventually, due to environmental influences, genetic drift, and simple happenstance, this led to certain physical characteristics being favored amongst certain populations, while other characteristics were favored by other populations. In other words, your white ancestors all have ancestors who weren't white. If they didn't care what color you are, why should you care what color your descendants will be? And then to somebody called Cody, I said, Cody, eventually there will be no Asian race or black race or Hispanic race. There are already no Jewish race. There's a Semitic race, sociopolitically speaking, but Jews are a cultural religious group, not what even most race realists, about as close to an oxymoron as a word can come, would even want to classify as a race without losing the battle to insist that white is a race. Even in Africa, there are large populations of Caucasians. Asian women frequently marry white men. Their children are neither white nor Asian, right? Those children will then mate and breed. When you get right down to it, how in the fuck does inbreeding only eradicate one side of the equation? Which is really, that's the base of it. One of their things is they argue that forced assimilation, as they call it, is genocide. But in order for it to be genocide, it would have to be eradicating only white people. But if you're black and you mate with a white person, your offspring isn't pure black, and any more than it's pure white. So how are they only eradicating the whites? Anyway, incidentally, it's been found that white DNA and Asian DNA show signs of inbreeding with Neanderthals. This doesn't show up in African blacks because Neanderthals never made it into Africa. This suggests that African blacks are more purely human than either Asians or whites. If anyone should be concerned with what is genetically lost in terms of preserving a pure bloodline, it's the African blacks. Just saying. Okay. Then they kept straw manning my argument. They kept saying, well, you're saying that you believe in genocide, which I never said. So anyway, so I said this. If any of you could represent my argument honestly rather than build a straw man to tear down, you might begin to see how pathetically ignorant your position is. Genocide is about murdering people. You don't get to call people marrying who they want genocide, or genocide, with a capital N-O, or any other such bullshit use of the word. You don't get to twist UN conventions to fit your racist agenda. And you don't get to spam people's comment sections without paying a price. That price for now is you get me. I'm going to continue spamming this thread because this thread is the source of the harassment you are inflicting on others. And then to everybody, I said this. Generic white racists. Most of the black people in this country are legacies of slavery. Even if we close the borders today, they'd still be here, and interracial marriage would still be happening. The Hispanics are also legacies of Spanish colonialism. Whites invaded this country. Under what rationale do you call the U.S. a white country, fuckwit? Migration in Europe is also nothing new. The Moors conquered Spain over 1,000 years ago. The dark hair in southern Italy compared to the light hair in northern Italy is also a legacy thousands of years old. Remember the Ottoman Empire? Empire doesn't happen without integration. And it isn't all just dark people invading white ones either. Rome under the Caesars and then again under the popes was all over the Middle East and northern Africa. England colonized all over the place and brought home human trophies. There are West Indians and actual India Indians who have lived in London for generations. There's no such thing as a white country, you fucktarded mental midgets. And then to a guy named Harumpty. The point is that you are only white as a result of your gene pool having shrunk thousands of years ago. Asians are Asians for the same reason. Indians, same thing. The Hispanic race developed as a result of later interbreeding between two or more previously homogenized groups. But you can only trace your white lineage back so far, then you hit a non-white wall. You have non-white blood. You're not so white as you think you are. The thing you are trying so hard to preserve doesn't actually even exist. Then to somebody named Mean White Rabbit. I want my 3 white children to have children of their own. I don't care what color their other parent is because my genetic input will be the same either way. And then somebody said this, will you prove me wrong and create a convincing argument as to why non-white country must do this? Come on, anti-white. Name one non-white country and create a convincing argument as to why they should be treated the same as anti-racists, anti-whites treat white people. Now, to that I said, this question is unintelligible. Please re-ask it in a way that can be deciphered by people who don't suffer from schizophrenic delusions. So he rephrased it. Create a convincing argument as to why any non-white country must accept massive immigration and forced integration until those people disappear. To which I responded, I'll answer the question for shits and giggles, but the answer is a straw man. But the question is a straw man. I've never argued that white countries, whatever the fuck that means, must accept massive, whatever the fuck that means, immigration, nor have I argued white countries must accept forced integration until those people disappear, which I assume means forced assimilation. On the contrary, I've assumed that there is no forced assimilation. And the issue of massive immigration hasn't even been brought up until now. For the record, I don't oppose reasonable restrictions on immigrations, though I assume we disagree on what qualifies as reasonable. I think the doors of advanced civilizations ought to be open more to refugees from active genocide and theocratic or political oppression. That is true of any advanced nation, including those which are non-white, whatever the fuck that means. And then finally, just before I left this little ditty behind. So, that's that. Sorry about the foul language. Hope it didn't offend anybody. If the ideas that I expressed offended you, I don't care. And that's the end of that. Thank you. Have a good day.